Hello, English lovers. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. I am your host, Felicity. So, I have discovered that during our live streams, people always ask me the difference between clauses and phrases. So, on today's lesson, we are going to tackle clauses and phrases. From tackling them detailedly, you would know the difference between these two grammatical terminologies. Yeah, so, but before we continue, guys, you know how we do, right? Like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell. Okay, let's dive in. Now, what is a phrase? A phrase is a group of words that function as a unit in a sentence, but they don't have subject or predicate to express a complete thought. So phrases are groups of words that exist in English language, but they don't have a subject or a predicate. A predicate can be a verb. All right, so phrases can act as nouns, adjectives, adverbs, or other parts of speech, adding detail and meaning to sentences. So, phrases cannot be used on their own. You need other things or other parts of a sentence to add to a phrase in order to make the complete meaning. That's what we are saying. All right, so let's take the different types of phrases that exist in English language. First, we will take the noun phrase. The noun phrase is a group of words centered around a noun. We all know what a noun is, the name of a person, place, thing, or an idea. So let's have an example of a noun phrase. For example, the big red ball. You see, it doesn't express a complete thought, right? When you say the big red ball, okay, what has it done? So this is just an example of a noun phrase, and to equally add more flesh to the fact that most phrases do not give complete thoughts. Okay, the second type of phrase we have is the verb phrase. A group of words centered around a verb. What is a verb? An action word. For example, is running quickly. Is running quickly. Okay, yes, what is running quickly? Incomplete thought. All right, again, we go to the third type of phrase, which is an adjective phrase. An adjective phrase is a group of words that describe a noun. We all know that adjectives describe. So, for example, full of life. If you just say full of life, okay, what is full of life? Is it a person? Is it a thing or an animal? So this full of life is an example of an adjective phrase. All right. The fourth type of phrase is an adverb phrase, which is a group of words that modify a verb, adjective, or another adverb. For example, with great enthusiasm. Okay, so I hope you're following up the lesson, which simply means that the words or the examples of phrases I am giving, be they noun, verb, or adjective phrases, all of them do not express complete thought. All right, the last type of phrase that we are going to talk about is the prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase is a group of words starting with a preposition. For example, in the park. In the park. In the park is a prepositional phrase, but we realize that it still doesn't express complete thought. So this is just to tell you that we have different phrases, but all of these need other things to make sense. So a phrase does not express a complete thought. All right, and phrases help build more complex and nuanced sentences, making language richer and more expressive. Okay, let me know if there's anything you didn't understand as far as phrases are concerned. Let's take clauses. Okay, so What is a clause in English language? A clause is a group of words that contains a subject, who or what the sentence is about. That is what we call a sentence. A subject, and the predicate, which is either a verb or an action. Clauses can stand alone as a complete sentence or be part of a larger sentence. There are two main types of clauses. Here we have two main types of clauses: independent clause and dependent clause. So we'll first focus on the independent clause. What is an independent clause? This clause can stand alone as a complete sentence because, as the name implies, independent, it doesn't depend on another thing or another sentence to make sense. It expresses complete thought. For example, she runs every morning. She runs every morning. What is the subject? She. The predicate is runs every morning. Okay, now the next type of clause is the dependent clause. What is a dependent clause? As the name equally implies, dependent, it means it cannot stand alone on its own and express complete thought. It depends on another thing to give a complete thought. So let me take that again. Dependent clause is a clause that cannot stand alone as a complete sentence because it doesn't express a complete thought. It relies on an independent clause to make sense. It relies on an independent clause to make sense. Okay, let's have an example. Because she wanted to stay fit. If I just say because she wanted to stay fit, does it make sense? So you see, if you just get into a room and meet people, then the first thing you say is because she wanted to keep fit. They'll be wondering what you're talking about, right? So this is what we call a dependent clause. So instead of just saying that, because she wanted to stay fit, which is an incomplete thought, you would have to say, like, to give a complete sense to the statement, you would say, she started going to the gym because she wanted to stay fit. Now that makes sense, right? Okay. Now the second type of clause that we have is an adverbial clause, which modifies a verb, an adjective, or an adverb. For example, he left before the meeting ended. He left before the meeting ended. So now this equally expresses a complete thought. He left before the meeting ended. But if you just say before the meeting ended, it wouldn't make sense. Okay. So you need a subject to add to the other part of the sentence to make a complete thought. All right, the third one is a noun clause, which acts as a noun in a sentence. For example, what she said was true. What she said was true. Okay, so why do we use clauses in English language, or why do clauses matter? That's the question. Yes, they do. How do they matter, or why do we use clauses in English language? This is because they help build complex sentences that convey more detailed ideas. They help to build complex sentences that convey more detailed ideas. They equally add variety and depth to one's writing or speech. Yeah, so let's take another example. Let's first start with an independent clause. I finished my homework. I finished my homework. I finished my homework. This expresses a complete thought. So it is called an independent clause. Now let's take another part. Dependent clause. When the bell rang, you see, it doesn't express a complete thought, right? When the bell rang, So what happened? Somebody will be tempted to ask you, what happened when the bell rang? So to combine these two, the independent and dependent clause, the statement would read thus: I finished my homework when the bell rang. I finished my homework when the bell rang. Understanding clauses help you structure sentences effectively and express your ideas clearly. Because if you do not know how to use, especially how to bring together dependent and independent clauses, your communication or your writing would not be very effective. You would tend to have people wondering what you really intended saying. So, if you have watched up to this level, I hope you found something worth your time, right? Okay, so thank you so much for watching to this level. If you have any questions you would like me to answer, please leave them in the comment section. Okay, any topic you want me to equally handle, you can leave it in the comment section. Do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Okay, see you in the next video. Ciao. Thank you.